Go ahead.
Good morning. We are here with Carl Birney, and we are going to be just giving you a little intro to the Central Coast Artists Collective. They are a group of, well, now we have 4 groups, right?
Yes.
We have, we have the Central Coast Sculptors, we have the Craft Makers, we have painters and photographers.
Right. That's correct.
Awesome. The painters just came on with us, right? Most recently.
Yeah, I'll explain how that happened.
Awesome. I'm so glad to hear it. All right. So welcome, Carl. So tell us about how the Artist Collective got started.
Well, for decades, this Slo Museum of Art had artist groups, and they supported those artist groups with administrative support. They collected the membership fees. They put on exhibitions for them. They sold paintings at those exhibitions and so on. As the museum went along, they decided that they wanted to become a fully accredited museum internationally. And to do that, they are precluded from selling art from the walls. So they really couldn't support the artist groups the way they had been doing with exhibitions. And so we had to find a new way to continue presenting the local artists' artworks to the general public. Individual local artists can still request of the museum to do a one-person show. And if they decide that sounds like an interesting thing to do, they'll be glad to do it. They just can't treat the artist groups as a whole the way they did in the past. The main thing that the museum provided were administrative services, because the artists don't like to do that. They like to paint or sculpt or photograph or whatever it is they're going to do and show those things. And they don't want to deal with the mundane things like collecting members or paying taxes or managing a bank account and so on. But you need to do that. You can't have an organization without those administrative services. So we set up the collective, the Central Coast Artist Collective, and we call it the Collective for short, or Artist Collectives for short, to provide those services to the ex-museum artist groups. The printmakers and the painters group decided not to join the collective at the beginning. The painters group went and established a relationship with the Slo County Arts Council, which is the old Arts Obispo organization, to provide the equivalent services. And the painters, the printmakers just kind of went out on their own. They're a pretty small insular group, and they had been operating independently anyway for years, so they decided to do so. Though they are showing some interest in maybe joining up with the collective, but we'll see how that goes. So we started with craft makers, the sculptors, and the Photo Society with the 3 groups. But there's been a very significant and interesting development just this month. And that is that the owner of the Slo Gallery, which is right across the street from the west entrance to the museum, he's been running the Slo Gallery for about a year. It's overwhelming to run a gallery by yourself, and he needed more free time, and he was looking for a way to do that. To hire a gallery manager is an expensive proposition, and there's not a lot of extra cash floating around galleries these days. So he approached the collective and asked us if we would manage the gallery for him. And in compensation, he said, okay, I'll provide exclusive access to the artist collective artists so they can show in here, and I won't take other artists in here. So
Nice.
yeah, so we formed a relationship with him and agreed to manage the gallery. And a lot of our members know how to do that from the experience with the Phantom Project and the pop-ups that we did for 2 years. So we kind of know, the local artist community. They know us. And that worked out. That was a very popular program. And we want to bring some aspects to the Phantom Project to our management of the Slo Gallery. So starting this coming Thursday, Roger is no longer going to be the main guy answering the phone at the Slo Gallery, but members of the collective will be. I hope.
Wow.
Well, we will be, definitely.
Right.
There'll be some changes in the gallery in terms of minor changes to the layout. Roger Cantrell, the owner of the gallery, is still the owner of the gallery, and it's his gallery. We're just like a hired manager to take care of it. And one of the things he likes to do is roll over the artists every 3 months. Okay, so people sign up to exhibit in his gallery, and they pay a display fee to Roger because he's got rent to pay. And all the collective people have to do is show up and greet people and show them around and sell them art. And so that's what we're ramping up to do. It's a new phase for the collective, and it fills a main hole that the collective had because the museum provided shows for the exhibitions for the artist groups, maybe one a year, but nonetheless, it was an exhibition of the museum. So those members had a guaranteed venue. The artist groups went and we exhibited other venues around the area, Art Center Morro Bay. A lot of the artists show in the various restaurants and coffee shops around town and so on. And those activities will still continue from the artist group members. But as far as the collective is concerned, it allows us to provide an exhibition space. You have to pay for it, but except for coffee shops and stuff, you have to pay to enter shows. So it's about the same, maybe a little bit more to purchase display space, but you know that there's somebody in there selling your art every day. It's different than a coffee shop where somebody comes to the coffee shop to drink coffee. When they walk into a gallery, they come to look at the art. So it's a higher level of art, of presentation of your work. So far, the majority of the artists that have been in there are continuing to stay. 1 or 2 are moving out at right now. And so we have some extra space, wall space, to present the artworks. And Roger didn't do much with sculpture, 3-dimensional work. It was mostly paintings and photography. So we're adding the sculptors and craft makers who make 3-dimensional objects a means to display their artworks as well. Now, with respect to painters, when you have a gallery, and most galleries sell two-dimensional work, the painters group, which was the Slo Museum artist group that supported the painters, they went off to the Slo County Arts Council to work with them to do their shows and gather members and so on. Some of the members have not been too happy with what's happening there, and we're asking the collective, can we join the collective? But we didn't have a home for them. We didn't have a painters group. So Charlotte Burney, my wife, who managed the sculptors group for many years, said, why don't I make a painters group for the collective? We checked with the collective and they said, go for it. And in fact, 3 members of their board have joined the new painters group and so on. So the painters at the collective are a different painters group than the painters group, which
then originally
belongs with Arts Obispo.
Right.
Say again?
Yeah, so they're a separate group. So there was the group that was at the museum, the painters group that was at the museum. And now there's a painters group that's with the collective. Is that correct?
That's correct. And just like there's a watercolor society, which is a different painters organization, that a lot of the painters group people belong to the watercolor societies. It's another artist representation group, and that's what the painters will be within the collective. And people are just now starting to find out about us. And this whole exercise with the collective happened so quickly. If you look back at what our promotion and website talked about at the beginning of December, there was no mention of the Slo Gallery. And this whole thing developed over the course of 2 weeks. And it's a win-win for Roger, and it's a win-win and a win for the collective. So we're quite excited about it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that as well. It definitely does provide us an opportunity for exhibition and to sell our items, so no matter what it is. And I can't wait to see how it shifts on the inside, what it ends up looking like when you say, that there's going to be some, changes on the inside as far as how the flow goes. So
right.
That'll be nice.
Yeah. And in particular with respect to the 3-dimensional artworks that
right.
support.
Well, and I think that adds so much too to a gallery, as opposed to just wall displays, right? To have 3-dimensional pieces to walk around, to see as a whole. I think that adds a lot to the feel of actually being in a gallery.
Right.
Yeah.
We've had some very successful shows at Art Center Morro Bay between the sculptors and the painters group. And Morro Bay said it was one of the best shows they've ever had because people like it. It's very complimentary, and one doesn't detract from the other. It just gives the visitors more to look at.
Correct. Right.
So we think that will work at the Slo Gallery.
Okay, so let's talk about the membership for the collective. How does that work? How can people join? So tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, we've updated our website so they can join through the website. Is the easiest way. They just go to centralcoastartistscollective.org, look around for a button that says participate, and they click there. It's a 2-step process right now. They click the participate button, which goes to our MailChimp database, and they enter their, they have to enter their name, email address in there. We ask for a little bit of personal information, like a phone number and an address, because that's useful if we have to mail them a check because they sold something. But it's optional putting in that personal information, because I know some people are concerned about that. But we don't sell it to advertisers. It's just for our own internal use, and there's not very many people that have access to it anyway. But that's how they go. Go to the website, or it will say on the website, contact, they can send a message to info@centralcoastartistcollective.org and say, I want to join, and we can have email conversations and go ahead and join them up. The second step in the process, of course, is paying for it. When we formed the collective, we said, hey, we're new guys in town. People don't know who we are. So we said from April through December, you could join any of the artist groups for free. You didn't have to pay. But like any organization, we need some funding to pay for masks and hand cleaner and mop, floor mops and all those things that it takes to run a gallery and to administer a gallery and to keep a database and so on. It's all volunteers. We've got a great people that are helping out, and a great board helping out on the collective. In fact, one of the newest board members is the one that actually got with Roger and set the idea in place for us to do the management in agreement with him. He asked us, but we worked that out. So that's working well. So to join the collective, it costs $30. Okay, and you choose an art group. If you want to join multiple art groups, because many of the artists do that, a lot of craft makers are in the sculptors group because they do three-dimensional work, and the printmakers is, well, printmakers aren't in the sculptors group, but printmakers were in the painters group. Because they
makes sense, right?
We'll see how that develops. I mean, it's still a new thing, but it costs $30 to join the first group, $20 for each additional group that you want to join. Most people just join the group that's consistent with their form of art. So that's an easy way to do it. Now, we're new guys on the block. We haven't quite got our website working with online payments. So we have to pay by check, or sales that happen at the gallery are done via the little square device, where you swipe a credit card and a little thingy and it goes through your phone or iPad or MacBook or whatever. So we can take credit cards at the gallery. So if someone doesn't want to bother with mailing a check, they can stop in the gallery and drop off a check or pay with a credit card at the gallery.
Okay, so they can pay for their membership at the gallery.
They can pay for their membership at the gallery. They can also pay their display fees at the gallery.
Awesome.
Okay, if they want to do that. For now, that's handled through Roger. He's been taking all the phone calls for people that want to procure
have some space.
But we're going to take over that function for him as well. And we make sure he gets the money, but and he'll make sure he gets the money. But we'll
yeah, not a doubt.
we'll be handling that for him as well. So we become a full function retail gallery to support both the collective and the Slo Gallery as an independent business entity, which it is.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, so good for our groups. So good for our groups. I'm really glad that we've got that going. Let's see, is there anything else special as far as the collective goes that people need to be aware of. Like they need, we send out a monthly newsletter, right? That goes out every month. So it
Every month.
updates everybody on what's going on. And in that lists like any opportunities to show this new information for the gallery. Anything else?
Well, we have information in there for open calls for entry, not only just for the gallery, but any open call for entry that is around the county that the artist may wish to apply to. We want to make that information available. And when the art groups went, before it was a museum, it was an arts, SLOMA was an art center. And there was a lot of camaraderie among the artist groups. And over time, that kind of got spread out. The artists didn't communicate with one another because they didn't have a common place where they congregated. So now they have a gallery. So there's a place where people can come, they can organize, have meetings at the gallery if they want to do that. I do have to say that the gallery is constrained by the Omicron floating around and out there in the world, and you have to wear a mask when you're in there. But that's a state rule. We have to follow the state rules. And I'm pleased to see in the news that they're predicting that the Omicron is going to fade as fast as it happened. That's what happened in South Africa. We hope it happens here. And over time, I'm sure it's just going to be another fact of life like flu and colds were. So yes, we have to deal with that, and that's going to inhibit some of our visitors. Also, one thing that happens when you display at the gallery, you have to spend some time as a gallery assistant each month. So that's a turnoff for some people. But what we found at during the Phantom Project was since it was downtown Slo, and we have a fair number of elderly people that are in our members, we didn't think it was wise to have just one person sitting in a gallery all by themselves in the evening. So we went to a step where we had two gallery assistants all the time. And what happened was that business of camaraderie grew, because all of a sudden a sculptor would talk to a painter and find out, wow, I have the same problems getting started with a piece of art. I have the same problems with frustration when what I want to do, I can't make happen the way I want. And people found that there was a lot of commonality, and they made a lot of new friends because they met people that they wouldn't have normally established conversations with. And some of those friendships are still going on today with people who met up during the Phantom Project. So we think that when the people are in there as gallery representatives, and also you have somebody to talk to, and the time goes by more quickly. So a lot of people think, oh, sitting bad, I don't want to do it. But we found that it became much less of a problem when we had two people there all the time. It gives a break. Somebody wants to go out and get a cup of coffee and maybe bring the coffee back, or has the call of nature. You don't have to worry about nobody watching who comes in the gallery and so on. So we're gonna handle it that way, and it ended up working pretty well in the past, and we think we can bring the same to the gallery. But the cross-fertilization among the groups, one of the things again that made the Phantom Project work is it was open to all artists in Slo County. Well, the same thing is true of Slo Gallery. It's open to all artists. We expect that that's going to be attractive to people because there's such a dearth of exhibition venues
Right.
in Slo.
Yeah. Well, this certainly is exciting, and I look forward to working in the gallery and how that all gets like scheduled, and I'm excited about it because I think that it's so good for the group, it's so good for the local artists, it's so good for the community, and I'm grateful that magically it all fell into place and opened a space for us to exhibit. So I'm very grateful for that.
Yes, I think it, and we want to make it fun. We want to bring some of the energy from the Phantom Project into making this gallery work as well. So we'll see.
Well, from all the artist interviews I've done so far, that's been like one of the biggest things that the artists have shared, was how incredibly valuable and fun the pop-up galleries were. So, so I think that you won't have any problem like getting people involved because everybody has mentioned it. Not one person hasn't mentioned it. So that is, I think that for the group, people are like chomping at the bit to be part of it. So I think that'll be
absolutely true.
Yeah.
We hope we have enough space for all comers. We'll see.
Yeah, I guess that'll be kind of the challenge. So when you were talking about the gallery, you said that there's people that were already in the gallery paying for wall space. So that space isn't available, but there's people that are leaving. So it's opening up some space. And then for the sculptors group, the floor space is now available where it wasn't before.
That's correct. That's absolutely correct.
Okay. All right, everybody. Thank you for
I want to thank
joining.
you for doing all of these interviews and this, because now we're ready to go. It's time to promote this, and this will be quite helpful to do it. So
Yeah,
thank you very much.
I can't wait just to come down to the gallery and do some videoing and talking even to the artist assistant or the gallery assistants down there to this guy, we can really do a good job at promoting this. So
great. That's wonderful.
yeah.
Thanks, Casey.
All right. Thank you, Carl. And we look forward to seeing you guys all at the gallery.
Good. Thank you.